everyone, welcome to another Random Talk Sunday, and today I thought it would be interesting to briefly address something that is not only random but just kind of ironically, sort of, I guess you could say, funny, considering the fact that it sort of happened to me today. As I was going through the library searching for books, I hit my toe on, or two of my toes, or on my on a chair as I was going through the library. And the thing is I wasn't wearing closed shoes, so ended up hitting it pretty hard, and they're kind of swollen up now as a result. And it got me to thinking about aches and pains. Now this is something that's, again, I think something somewhat universal. I mean, I think everybody has gone through this kind of scenario where they're just going along, minding their own business, and then suddenly you get hurt somehow, in some way, shape, or form. And I'm talking physical, not necessarily mental, psychological, or anything like that. Fortunately, Starbucks kind of helps make it a little better. Basically, what I find interesting about this topic is that not only is it universal, but I think it just impacts us in tons of different ways. You know, from stomach aches to bruises to, you know, broken bones, you know, having to maybe be in a wheelchair for a while. I mean, I've seen this constantly in high school where people would break their legs or something like that, and then they would have to wear crutches, or they would have to go in a wheelchair for a while. And yeah, it's crazy how much accidents people can get into. Now, I've never suffered anything life-threatening or that serious, as probably some others have had. But from my own personal experience, I think that the ones that, you know, sort of impact our lives, you know, that sort of get in the way of things, are really the ones that we remember, and the ones that we kind of take as sort of a badge, you know, with us throughout the rest of our lives. So I thought I would talk about one incident in particular that involved aches and pains that did really have an impact on me, and I think is a really funny, and it's just a very random story. So without further ado, let me address this. So over last summer, not this summer, but not the past summer that we've had, but the summer before that, when I was still in college, I went on a trip to Europe. And as I was leaving, I was on the plane, I kind of noticed that I did have a bite, like something did bit me. I didn't know what it was, but I thought, it's just a mosquito bite, it'll go away, no problem. It was itching a little, but I didn't think that it would be all that severe. But then on the first full day, when we were all like kind of walking around and, you know, given a tour of the city that we were in, I felt like something was wrong, because as I was walking around, I felt like that there was just this pain within my foot, and I was pretty much towards the end of the tour. It was really hard for me to really walk on that leg, because it just got so, not only not only was it really painful, but it was like it was swelling up. It was getting pretty bad, and this all happening overnight. And so, in order for me to get better, I thought, well, there must be some medication that I could take for this. I mean, you know, the swelling will go down. And so I went, somebody went to the pharmacy for me, one of our tour guide helpers, um, aka an adult, so to speak. And they gave him some medicine for me to take, but at first I thought things were relatively stable, like it wasn't getting worse, it was just kind of staying the same, as far as the swelling and the pain was concerned. And then by the time in the evening we had to go somewhere else, and so I was, so as we were doing that, that's where it got to the point where it was like not going away. And in fact, right when we were going up and giving a presentation, I was just like, oh, and I was trying to go through it so bad, and I was just like, I'm in just so much pain right now, this is not fun. And so I literally had to be taken to the hospital that night, and I literally had to be tested so that they could figure out what kind of a I guess what I think I had was sort of a reaction to maybe the bite or something. I'm not sure, but at the same time, I thought it was very strange how, like, that something over the counter wouldn't have been able to really help. But they gave me this other kind of medication, and then I had to put needles every day in my stomach, or like around this midsection here, just so, just so, in case, it was, it's just so that that it wasn't something with the circulation, that the swelling wasn't trying to, basically mess up my blood flow, so to speak. As far as I can remember, that's what the needles were for, and that wasn't really all too fun either, and not all that not at all great. And it almost ended the entire trip for me, and this was literally at the start. Um, and they were like telling me, "Oh, you should go to your uncle's," because my uncle lived in Germany and I was in Germany, even though it would have been like a 6 to 8 hour train ride. And they said, "Oh, we don't really want you to, we don't want to have like a problem um, with you having to, you know, basically not being able to walk," because it was pretty bad, to the point where there were points where I felt like I couldn't walk all too well, or at least keep up with the group. And it was just, it was so strange. It just swelled pretty much all the way around my foot and all the way up on my leg. So not like the the part on the bottom before the knee. So all of that area of the foot all the way upwards, before the knee, was pretty much swelled up. I felt like I gained weight just on this foot because it was just so swelled up. It just didn't look natural at all. So it was really, it was painful, it was annoying, and it was just it was just not fun at all. it was it was ridiculous, and the fact that my trip was literally almost canceled just because of it was crazy. But I held it out and I said I'm not going to leave. I'm just going to keep taking the medication that they gave me, and they still wanted to monitor me, after so and so many days of already going to the hospital. They still wanted to monitor me and see, how much, how, just to see how, if it's going down, which it was. The swelling was going down, with the medication and everything, and but they still wanted to monitor me by the time the group would be gone and moving on. And I was like, look, I'm going to stick this out, and I'm going to keep taking this medication, and I think it's working. It just needs some time, and they gave me plenty of medication, so I was like, I'm just going to go through this, and I'm not going to, quit. So I went through it, and no problems, and it was one of those things where, that's the kind of stuff you remember. That the thing that kind of really just impacts your ability to do what you want to do. And it kind of makes you, makes you that fighter. That you process it, and it was devastating to me though, because I paid so much money. There was so much time and investment that I put into it, and the fact that they have this this thing happen, it's just not fun to have that kind of a feeling as you're trying to go through something, that you think is very important and something that you've invested time into. So yeah, that's really the one major incident that I had that really did sort of leave an impact on me. And I mean, and I've had too, like bruises. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have had this happen to them. You look and you go, wait, where did I get this bruise from? Like you don't know where it came from. You don't remember what you hit or what you did to result in a bruise. Um, I've had that happen to me numerous occasions. So, and I've hit myself on things, and I guess you could say I'm a little bit of a klutz when it comes to certain things, and I just have random stuff happen to me, like this bite, and I didn't know that it would be such big of a deal, but fortunately it was. Uh, Unfortunately it was, but at the same time, I think it kind of, it keeps your spirit up. To have kind of pain happen to you, physical pain, I think, because it lets you get up, and you sort of move on from it. And I think it's interesting. And I'm more than happy to hear what other people's stories are when it comes to this. I'm sure there's some good ones of people, have a having to have crutches or anything like that. Um, for as far as the swelling was concerned, they did give me like kind of like a cast a little bit just to keep it down. Um, and I was on a little bit of crutches, but not necessarily. Um, there was a point where I did have them, but I didn't feel like I needed them anymore. Literally the next day, and I really felt ridiculous though walking around with this cast thing on me. And people would ask me like, "What happened to you?" So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those incidences. And again, I'm sure everybody has felt the exact same way I felt, where people will like, look at you and go, "What the heck's wrong with you? What happened to you?" But yeah, it's funny just to have these things kind of happen to you, and you look back on it and you sort of laugh, and it's just something you remember. And I think people have had those kinds of aches and pains where they've experienced, and it they it's an annoying and painful process, but then at the same time, there's you kind of get something out of it. It makes you feel like it makes you feel stronger in a way. So I think that's just something that's very interesting. Um, and I'd be more than happy again to hear what anybody else has to say in regards to this topic. But I think that's really ultimately all I can say about it. I mean, it just has these sort of stages. You start off and nothing's happening, and then suddenly it happens, and then you have a big stress, big headache, and then it kind of goes away. And then it just sort of leaves you in this state of, being kind of impacted from it. Kind of like the hero's journey, where, you're not the same anymore because it happened to you. Because it's just something you remember and something you kind of carry with you. But yeah, I think that's really ultimately all I can say when it comes to this topic. But again, more than happy to hear what anyone else has to say and hear their stories. But yeah, I think that's all I can say. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year. And I hope to see you on the next video. Take care. Bye bye.